Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Science rules.
Welcome back, nostalgia fans. Who else remembers the electric thrill of hearing you have a substitute teacher today? Because you knew exactly what that meant. Soon, the lights would go down, a giant tube TV got wheeled in like sacred cargo, and suddenly your math worksheet was irrelevant. It was Bill Nye time. From 1993 to 98, Bill Nye the Science Guy did the impossible. This show made physics feel like a party instead of a punishment. And that was no small feat in an era when most educational TV talked to kids like they'd never seen a molecule before. Bill Nye rocked a bow tie, a lab coat, and explained inertia with household junk, all while the editors cut faster than MTV on espresso. And the result? 19 Emmy Awards in only 5 seasons. And proof that science didn't have to feel like homework that you forgot to do. Today, we're going to count down 15 weird, wild, and genuinely surprising facts about the show that made science feel revolutionary. Because being able to convince 90s children to care about things like photosynthesis when they had access to things like the Power Rangers, now that was revolutionary. Before we dive in, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and stick around with us. There's more to this show than you probably remember. All right, grab your safety goggles. Let's kick it off with number 15. The pitch was exactly 4 words long. When Bill Nye, along with producers James McKenna and Aaron Gottlieb, pitched their science show, they used exactly 4 words. Mr. Wizard meets Pee-wee's Playhouse. That was it. That was the entire concept that would eventually win 19 Emmy Awards and teach millions of kids about the scientific method. This pitch honestly captured everything perfectly. The educational rigor of Don Herbert's classic Watch Mr. Wizard combined with the whimsical, chaotic energy of Paul Rubens' show. Well, initially, at least. After Rubin's 1991 arrest for indecent exposure made headlines, the producers quickly swapped Pee-wee for MTV to make the pitch more palatable to nervous executives. Because nothing says, "we understand optics," like immediately distancing yourself from scandal. And here's the surprising part about this educational cultural phenomenon. They shopped this pitch around for 4 years, facing rejections from networks like Fox who thought the concept was simply too unconventional. 4 whole years of hearing no, before eventually KCTS-TV, Seattle's local PBS station, finally backed a pilot episode funded by the National Science Foundation in 1993. The simplicity of that 4-word pitch helped secure buy-in when it finally landed. It emphasized fast-paced, engaging science for kids ages 8 through 12, ultimately leading to 100 episodes that taught an entire generation that science wasn't boring. It was actually quite entertaining under the right lens. Not bad for a sentence shorter than most tweets these days. Moving on to number 14. Bill Nye started as Doc Brown's assistant.
Before the Science Guy show, I did a thing for Back to the Future cartoon show, which is not very many people have ever seen it or heard of it, but it was on for a couple seasons. And in the middle of the animated show, it would cut to the video encyclopedia with Christopher Lloyd, the guy who played Doc Brown from Back to the Future. And then it would cut to me, and I had no lines. I would just do a science demonstration that I was alleged or believed to be good at.
Before Bill Nye actually became the Science Guy, he appeared alongside Doc Brown in Back to the Future, the animated series. This show featured Christopher Lloyd reprising his role in animated adventures, followed by live-action segments where Nye demonstrated real science experiments that were connected to the episode. Using everyday materials, Nye would explain concepts like electricity and motion, essentially a test run for the format that he would later perfect. Drawing on both his engineering background and his comedy experience from Almost Live, he proved he could make science engaging for kids. Nye has since credited the experience with teaching him how to pace educational content for young audiences. The series ran 2 seasons and served as the crucial bridge between his comedy roots and the creation of Bill Nye the Science Guy. Number 13. From local sketch to science icon.
are shouting, Bill Nye is William Shatner.
Mr. Scott, I need more power. It is a material and a device called formalin, which...
Thrill again to Captain Kirk convincing a renegade computer to give itself up.
The science guy persona that we all know today was born on a show called Almost Live, Seattle's sketch comedy show where Bill Nye kept correcting scientific mistakes during sketches. His natural insistence on accuracy, which was delivered with 100% total sincerity by the way, quickly became its own punchline. Host Ross Schaefer began calling him the Science Guy as a running joke, and the nickname stuck around. What started as some gentle teasing evolved into recurring segments where Nye would explain real science with genuine enthusiasm. Bill Nye has since reflected on how strange it is that his career emerged from being that one guy in the room who couldn't let bad science slide. But the Seattle audiences spoke up, and the Seattle audiences loved it. Everyone loved that earnest, bow-tied persona that eventually became Bill Nye the Science Guy. Number 12. A liquid nitrogen demo that changed everything. The Science Guy persona truly took shape on the show Almost Live. During the late 1980s, when producers needed last-minute filler and they turned to Bill Nye for help. Instead of a sketch, Nye did what he knew best. Real science demonstrations, including visually striking experiments like liquid nitrogen. Audiences responded immediately and overwhelmingly positively. Watching actual science performed by someone who clearly understood it and was genuinely excited to share it was super compelling. Those demos quickly became recurring segments and proof that science could be both educational and entertaining at the same time. Nye has since said that his hands-on demonstrations were key to defining his on-screen identity. Those moments showed producers that there was real potential for a show built entirely around making science fun and accessible. Number 11. The show was rejected for 4 years. For many years in the late 1980s and in the early 90s, Bill Nye and his producers were struggling to sell the idea of Bill Nye the Science Guy. This kind of concept didn't have a clear home and it didn't feel like it fit neatly anywhere. It was too educational for entertainment networks and it was too energetic for traditional kids television. Executives definitely didn't know how to market a fast-cut MTV-style science education show, which left the pitch of the show bouncing around without finding a home. That would eventually change when Seattle's KCTS-TV took a chance and helped fund an early pilot episode with support from the National Science Foundation. After finally airing locally in 1993, the show launched into national syndication later that year, and Bill Nye the Science Guy was soon picked up by PBS stations nationwide. What took years to sell eventually went on to win 19 Emmy Awards and basically redefine how science could work on television. Number 10. The theme song's mystery rappers.
Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Science rules.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Inertia is a property of matter. T minus 7 seconds.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
I think everybody remembers those iconic "Bill, Bill, Bill" chants from the theme song, and they were not sung by a trained vocalist of any kind. They actually just came from people hanging around composer Mike Green's studio. Recorded casually and kept for their raw, shouty energy, the vocals were never meant to be a polished jingle. Green would experiment with some cleaner versions of this using professional singers, but producers ultimately preferred the messy and much more funny feeling take. Even Green's own distorted demo voice made it into the final mix. What resulted was a theme song built on happy accidents. Low budget, spontaneous, and totally unforgettable even decades later. Whoever shouted, "Bill!" into that microphone probably had no idea that they were helping to create one of the most recognizable TV themes of the 1990s. Next on our list, fact number 9 is how this one science show ended up everywhere at once. Bill Nye the Science Guy wasn't just a PBS hit. It was also designed for first-run syndication, airing on commercial stations beginning in 1993 before expanding across PBS in 1994. This style of hybrid approach was definitely unusual for children's education television at the time. This strategy just so happened to also work perfectly with the Children's Television Act of 1990, which was requiring broadcasters to air educational programming for kids on their stations. The show Bill Nye the Science Guy gave commercial stations a rare solution to a new problem of theirs. A show that was genuinely educational but entertaining enough to keep viewers watching, and keep them coming back for more. By blending public funding with commercial reach, the show dramatically expanded its audience pretty quickly. Kids could easily find the show whether they were watching PBS or after-school syndicated TV. Bill Nye the Science Guy proved that educational content doesn't have to live in one lane, and that high-quality science programming could thrive across broadcast models. Number 8, the no talking down rule. One of the most important rules behind Bill Nye the Science Guy was deceptively simple. Never talk down to the audience. From the very beginning, the writers and producers made a conscious decision to assume that kids were smart, curious, and capable of understanding real science, as long as it was explained clearly. This meant no baby talk, no fake enthusiasm, and no watering concepts down just because the audience was young. Bill Nye has said that the goal wasn't to simplify science, but to clarify it. The show used correct terminology. Words like inertia, photosynthesis, and conservation of energy, and trusted viewers to keep up. If something was complicated, the solution wasn't to dumb it down. It was to explain it better, faster, and with some humor if possible. Teachers and parents both immediately noticed this about the show. Most importantly, the kids noticed it as well. The show respected its own audience, and that respect made science feel exciting rather than intimidating. It's a big reason that the series still holds up decades later, because when you don't talk down to kids, they don't tune out. They actually lean in. Number 7, the science lab opening that hooked an entire generation. The show's opening sequence, Bill Nye walking through a chaotic lab filled with experiments already in motion, was designed from the ground up to feel both cinematic and adventurous. Instead of a classroom, viewers were dropped into a secret lab environment where discovery was happening everywhere all at once. The production team intentionally gave the set a gadget-filled, high-energy vibe, closer to an action movie than a science lecture. The goal was to hook kids immediately, making science feel exciting before a single concept was explained. At a time when most educational shows opened quietly at a desk, Bill Nye the Science Guy opened with motion, noise, and controlled chaos. And that difference mattered. Number 6, the show was designed to survive reruns forever. One of the most intentional and one of the smartest decisions behind Bill Nye the Science Guy was that the episodes were built to be timeless. From day one, the producers avoided references to current events, pop culture fads, or specific years. The goal was simple: make episodes that could rerun for decades without feeling dated. This wasn't done on accident. PBS and first-run syndication both relied heavily on reruns, especially for educational programming. A show that felt old after 2 years would lose its value fast. So Bill Nye focused on core scientific principles. Things like gravity, energy, chemistry, motion. Things that don't change even as technology does change. The production team also avoided showing contemporary computers, brand name products, or news clips that would timestamp episodes. Even the wardrobe and set design leaned neutral rather than trendy. That's why an episode from 1994 still works in a classroom today with minimal explanation. It's the reason a show made before Google still feels relevant in a YouTube world. Timeless science beats timely references every single time. Number 5. Why Bill Nye didn't merch like other kids' shows did. At the height of its popularity, Bill Nye the Science Guy was everywhere. Classrooms, after-school TV, science fairs, substitute teacher days. But there was one place that it was not everywhere in, and that was toy stores. Unlike most kids' shows of the 1990s, Bill Nye the Science Guy never pushed a massive merchandising empire. No action figures, no serial tie-ins, no talking Bill Nye dolls explaining inertia at 3 in the morning. And this also was not an accident. From the very beginning, the producers made a deliberate choice. Science was the product they were trying to sell. The goal wasn't to sell characters, it was to spark curiosity. Turning the show into a toy brand risked shifting the focus from learning to collecting, like shifting from ideas to things. And that might be why it still feels different today. The show wasn't trying to live in your toy box. It was trying to live in your head. Number 4. The pilot episode tested locally before going national.
Pressure makes things fly. That's it. From June bugs to giant jets, they all fly because of air pressure. And you're saying, well, how can air make that much pressure? I mean, it's not like it has a test tomorrow or anything. And besides, air is so light and, well, airy.
Before Bill Nye the Science Guy went national, early test episodes aired locally on Seattle's KCTS-TV in 1993. This local broadcast rollout allowed the production team to confirm that its fast-paced, high-energy approach to science actually worked on screen. The early episodes, developed with support from the National Science Foundation, helped validate the show's format before it launched into first-run syndication later that same year. PBS stations began carrying the series widely in 1994. Starting locally gave the creators room to refine the show without immediate national pressure. And it proved that science, when done right, could compete with anything else that was on TV. Number 3. A gender chromosome segment got edited out.
See, inside each of our cells are these things called chromosomes, and they control whether we become a boy or a girl. Your mom has 2 X chromosomes in all of her cells, and your dad has 1 X and 1 Y chromosome in each of his cells. Before you're born, your mom gives you one of her chromosomes and your dad gives you one of his. Mom always gives you an X. And if dad gives you an X too, then you become a girl.
A mid-1990s episode of Bill Nye the Science Guy originally included a brief explanation of biological sex based on chromosomes. Standard classroom science at the time. In later broadcast and streaming versions, that segment was removed. When viewers noticed this change years later, controversy soon followed. Netflix clarified that they had not edited the episode and had simply streamed the version provided by the rights holder, Buena Vista Television. The edit coincided with broader cultural shifts in how sex and gender are discussed in education, especially for children. While some saw this removal as censorship, others viewed it as updating how complex and progressive topics are presented. It's a reminder that educational television doesn't exist in a vacuum. What feels factual in one era can be complicated in another. Number 2. The show won 19 Emmys, but Disney withheld profits.
Emmys is fantastic. But bear in mind that I had won several local Emmys in the Seattle area. And I guess it's Washington State, Oregon, Idaho, Alaska. That's the region. I wonder if Montana, I should know. But you work really hard on a bit, and then it wins an Emmy. It's really something.
Bill Nye the Science Guy won 19 Emmy Awards and became one of the most successful education shows in television history. Bill Nye himself won or shared several of those awards for his work as host, producer, and writer. But in 2017, Nye sued Disney through its distribution arm, Buena Vista Television, alleging that the company had underreported revenues and withheld millions in profits from the show's distribution. The lawsuit claimed improper accounting related to syndication, home video, and streaming deals. So basically everything? After years of litigation, a California appellate court dismissed Nye's attempt to revive the case in 2024, ruling the claims could not proceed. This decision ended the legal battle without resolving the underlying accounting dispute. The result is a striking contrast. A show that educated millions, won nearly 20 Emmy Awards, and became a cultural landmark, while its creators spent years in court fighting over how the money was divided. And our number 1 cool science rules fact about Bill Nye the Science Guy is that the man himself, Bill Nye, rarely used the teleprompter for this show. Bill Nye was known for having a great and very natural feeling energy while on camera for this show. One of the reasons he always felt so natural on camera was simple. He usually wasn't reading. Nye rarely relied on a teleprompter. Instead, he would memorize large portions of the script or internalize the key ideas, then explain them in his own words. The goal was to make it sound like a person was talking to the audience, not a host performing to the audience. That flexibility also made the science feel literally conversational. Viewers weren't being lectured by a teacher. They were being walked through an idea by someone who clearly understood it very, very well. The occasional stumbles, the emphatic pauses, or improvised emphasis were not mistakes. These were all signs that a real human being was thinking through the explanation with you. Because when someone isn't reading science at you, it feels a lot more like they're sharing it with you. And that'll wrap it up, our 15 weird and wonderful facts about Bill Nye the Science Guy. From mystery rappers to Disney lawsuits, this show's history is about as chaotic and fascinating as Nye's laboratory walk-in sequences. So which of these facts surprised you the most? Are you still mad that this show isn't on Disney Plus? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, because we read every single one. And before you leave, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share this video if you enjoyed it. Because I think we can all agree that Bill Nye deserves better than being locked away in Disney's vault while they're busy streaming every mediocre sitcom from the 90s. So until next time, everybody, remember, science rules. Corporate disputes about streaming rights do not.